You would have laid down your life for them, wouldn't you? You were ready to give anything, everything, if it meant they'd be safe, if it meant they'd find happiness. You stood by their side, facing darkness, weathering storms, prepared to put yourself at risk without hesitation. That's how much you loved them. And when you said you'd do anything for them, you meant it. Those weren't just words, they were a promise, a commitment you held close, something that defined you. But they didn't appreciate it, did they? They didn't see it. They didn't understand the value of what you were offering. They took your loyalty, your love, and treated it as if it was nothing, as if it had no worth. They acted as though your sacrifice was just expected, as though your devotion was something they deserved by default. You would have given your life for them, and yet they couldn't even find it in themselves to say thank you. And that's the painful irony, isn't it? How you can offer everything, your heart, your soul, your very life, and still, it's not enough for some people. They see your sacrifice, but instead of cherishing it, instead of appreciating it, they turn away. They take and they take, never stopping to consider what it costs you, never pausing to understand what it means for you to love them that deeply. You were ready to stand in the fire for them, to carry their burdens, to absorb their pain as if it was your own. You were prepared to risk everything just to make sure they were all right. You would have fought for them, bled for them, even died for them. And still, they couldn't see it. They took your love, took your sacrifices, and acted like it was all owed to them. They behaved as if your willingness to give everything was meaningless. People like that, they think love is their right. They believe devotion, sacrifice, loyalty are just things that should fall into their lap, things they don't need to earn. They took you for granted, didn't they? They assumed you'd always be there, always willing to put yourself on the line, always rushing to their side whenever they called. They never paused to consider what it was costing you, never noticed the toll it was taking on your heart, on your soul, on your very identity. See, love like that, love willing to give everything, that's not something you find every day. It doesn't come around whenever it's convenient. It's rare, it's precious, it's meant to be cherished. But they didn't understand that. They thought they could just keep taking without ever giving back, without offering the same kind of love, the same level of commitment. They assumed you'd always be there, that no matter how little they appreciated you, you'd still be willing to lay everything down for them. And maybe, for a while, you believed that too. Maybe you thought that if you just loved them enough, if you just kept sacrificing, if you just kept giving, eventually they'd see. Eventually, they'd realize what they had. Eventually, they'd understand how much you were willing to do for them, and they'd start appreciating it. So, you kept hoping, kept believing, kept giving, because that's what love does. It hopes. It believes. It keeps going, even when it's painful. But then, there comes a moment when you realize that no matter how much you give, no matter how much you sacrifice, no matter how willing you are to die for them, it will never be enough for someone who doesn't truly see you, who doesn't value you, who doesn't appreciate the depth of your love, the strength of your devotion, the weight of your willingness to give everything. And that moment, it breaks you. It shatters your heart, weakens your spirit, undermines everything you believed. You were willing to give your life for them, but they didn't appreciate it. And that kind of realization, that kind of pain, it transforms you. It opens your eyes. It reveals a truth you couldn't see before, that love isn't about how much you're willing to sacrifice, or how much you can endure, or how much you can give. True love is about reciprocity. It's about mutual respect, mutual care, mutual devotion. It's about someone who is willing to stand in the fire with you, just as you were ready to stand in it for them. They didn't appreciate your love. your sacrifice, your willingness to give everything. And that's not on you. That's on them. It's on them for not recognizing the value of what they had, for not cherishing the rare, beautiful gift you offered. It's on them for taking you for granted, for treating your love as if it was something they were owed rather than something freely given. It's on them for not understanding that your willingness to give everything was not a sign of weakness, but a display of incredible strength. Now, it's time to take that love, that devotion, that willingness to give everything, and direct it inward. It's time to take all that love, all that commitment, and use it to rebuild yourself, to heal the wounds they left, to fill the emptiness they created, to emerge stronger, wiser, more resilient than ever. They didn't appreciate you, but that doesn't mean you're unworthy of love. That doesn't mean you don't deserve someone who sees you, cherishes you, stands by you like you stood by them. You're worthy of someone who'd be willing to give everything for you, someone who will love you just as deeply as you loved them. Until that day comes, until you meet that person, you're going to stand tall. You're going to keep moving forward. You'll live not for anyone else, but for yourself. You'll find joy in your own company, peace in your own heart, strength in your own soul, because you were willing to die for them, but now it's time to live for you. They didn't value your sacrifice, didn't see the worth of your love, didn't understand what they had, but that doesn't define you. What defines you is your heart, your resilience, your strength, your capacity to love, even after the pain, even after betrayal. What defines you is the fact that even after everything, even after they let you down, you're still here, you're still standing, you're still loving, and that's something they can never take from you. That is your power.